Man, you are going to love the Friday night draft tonight. It's football gluttony. We'll explain next on Locked On NFL Draft. Let's go.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, if you're just listening, I'm sure you can hear the smile on my face for the Friday night draft show right here on Locked On NFL Draft. My man, Eric Crocker, former NFL, AFL defensive back, he has been prepping his draft board for the last 2 days, as had Ryan Tracy from Rogue Analytics. You can follow him on Twitter at Ryan Tracy NFL, at Eric_Crocker. And I'm John Harris, football analyst, sideline reporter for the Houston Texans, owner-operator of footballtakeover.com, and I have been doing the same, getting my draft board ready for the Friday night draft. Now, the last couple of drafts that we have done have been fantastic. And tonight's Friday night draft episode of Locked On NFL Draft is sponsored by Simply Safe Home Security. With Fast Protect technology exclusively from Simply Safe, 24/7 monitoring agents capture evidence to accurately verify a threat for faster police response. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Visit simplysafe.com/LockedOnNFL to learn more. Now, if you heard the open, which hopefully you did because you're listening to a podcast or watching on YouTube, it's the first thing you heard. You heard me say football gluttony. Now, here's the way I want to think about this draft. You're at a buffet. Where the buffet is most famous? Well, where I was this past weekend out in Las Vegas. And when you go to a buffet in Las Vegas and you go to one for the first time, now I don't know how many more they have, but they used to be all over the place. When you go to a buffet, you're like, oh, where do I start? Where do I go? There's something for everybody, and you love all of it. It's gluttony is what it is. Well, that's what this draft is about. We are going 7 rounds of anything that you want in football. It could be a game. It could be a player. It could be a coach. It could be a moment. It could be a piece of clothing. It could be a memory. It could be anything. It could be tangible, intangible. It can be Josh Allen's arm. It could be Jan Stenerud's toe, and I'm dating myself because I don't know who's going to remember Jan Stenerud. It can be anything. These are my most fun drafts to do because it shows the creativity amongst the three of us. And I've got my board ready to go. I know that probably our boards are going to be a lot different, but that's okay. It gives us an opportunity to really tap into the creativity amongst the three of us. It's the football gluttony draft. Now, I flipped a coin backstage, and it came up Eric Crocker going first. He gets the first pick. Then Ryan Tracy will draft second. I will draft third, and we'll snake back all the way through 7 rounds. So, Eric Crocker, it's on you. You get the very first pick in the football gluttony Friday night draft. Again, it can be anything. You have number 1 pick. Who is your Joe Burrow going to be?
Gambling. My Joe Burrow is gambling. When it comes to football, all right, and again, don't do this if you're currently playing it. We saw Calvin really get in trouble for this, all right, but gambling, it makes every game more intriguing. If you are doing player props and you're involved in prize picks, all right, you look at the players, every throw is more intriguing, every run play is more intriguing. Gambling makes all of football just more intriguing in general. I love football. I can definitely watch football, play football without any type of gambling involved, but it definitely makes every single game more interesting. Oh, it's the Chicago Bears against the Washington Commanders. No worries. Let me open up my Prize Pick app and make this a lot spicier here. So gambling, man, I think that makes football a lot more fun.
I like it. I was very curious. You were very convinced who you wanted to take and what you wanted to take. And I'm like, man, where's this going to go? That's an absolutely brilliant pick. And it's so true. You can have a little bit, and I obviously working for an NFL team, I have to be careful with the gambling part of it. But I know people that dabble, and it's just a more interesting way to watch a game. I mean, if you're watching it going, I got a little something on this one, it just adds that much more spice to it. Okay, gambling. Ryan Tracy is off the board. I don't know if that was on your board. It was not on mine. I love it. That's the way it starts. In the football gluttony draft, you go anywhere. Ryan Tracy,
Right?
what's your first round pick?
So you had me at gluttony, and I'm my entire list is going to be the things that give me the ultimate pleasurable experience related to the sport. There's a tailgate in one particular town in this nation that does my favorite pregame meal for the fans, and it's part of it's on a smoker, part of it's in a fryer. You could smell it from about, 3 parking lots away. And it's really, really unique. It is probably my favorite pregame meal. And I can't give it away who does it, but kudos to you, sir. Chef, I appreciate you. It is a lobster tempura paired with a 2-day smoked brisket on one plate. Roll. It's just those things. You're not throwing on the condiments. It's not barbecue sauce. It's not anything. It's a roll with those 2 things, and it's heaven. Maybe some days I might have a cocktail or 2 and not make it into the stadium when I do that. But that is it. It's a pregame meal.
That's the most unique pairing of food I've ever heard. Lobster tempura with 2-day smoked brisket. I love it. I did have tailgating down on mine, which would have encompassed a lot of different things. Okay. So it gets to me at the end of the first round here. Now, this one, of course, with me, it always comes to the story. 2014 was my very first year on the sideline with the Houston Texans. And I've been around since 2007. And so I had watched J.J. Watt in 11, 12, and 13 from afar. In 2014, I got a chance to see J.J. up close. And it was unbelievable. It was my first year on the sideline. I'm like, is every year like this? In 2014, J.J. Watt had 78 tackles. He had 20 and a half sacks. He had 31 and a half TFLs. He had 10 passes defensed. He had 1 interception and went for a pick 6 against Buffalo. He had 5 fumble recoveries, and he had 4 other offensive touchdowns in that year in 2014. It was the most incredible year. Looking back, it's the most incredible thing I've ever seen on an NFL field, and he did it every single week, and he did it on command. We were playing Thursday night against the Colts, and we were down 33-21. And Mark Vanderbilt, I'll never forget, it was like he put out the Watt signal, like a bat signal. And he's like, 3rd down, come on, JJ, make a play. And I swear to God, Luck dropped the snap. Watt got knocked down, but he got up, he picked up the ball, and he ran in 45 yards to cut it to 33-28, and the building almost fell down. So my first-round pick is J.J. Watt's 2014 season. I watched it up close. I'm partial. I'm taking it. J.J. Watt's 2014 season, arguably the best defensive season a player's ever had. I say arguably because there have been others. But when you combine in the offensive touchdowns, he went out wide against the Browns, and they threw him a fade route, and he caught it. It was just unbelievable what he did in 2014. So now we snake back to the second round, and that goes to me. And I'm going with the man that I was not named after, but I sort of wish I was. I feel like in this draft, a player, a coach, a contributor, a video game magnate, there's only one man that could be, and that's John Madden. So with my second round pick, knowing that I was snaking picks, I was saving to the second round John Madden. He meant so much to the NFL. He passed away, obviously, back in early 2022. But he was everything to the game of football. He was funny as a broadcaster. Madden, you play Madden now, and, I mean, it's just such a part of young kids' vernacular. I'm going John Madden in the second round. Ryan, your next pick.
I'm sticking with the theme of what gives me pleasure here. And
yes.
I don't know that I've shared this with everybody. I'm a home brewer. I make beer at home. And that first sip that you have when you get into the stadium, it's about to be kickoff, and that just changes your whole perception, right? There's a brewery named Boulevard in Kansas City that makes an Irish red that is perfect for that 2nd October kickoff. That's the thing that I look for every year. I'm trying to chase it all year round. It's too hot in September and August. It's too cold in December. But that first Irish red from Boulevard, that's what I'm looking for.
I like it. First sip of beer. What'd you call it? Irish Boulevard?
Boulevard's Irish red.
Irish red. 2nd October kick. Yeah. Middle of October. That's when you want to be. And I remember being in Arrowhead in 2019 in middle of October. We actually won a game there. I can't believe that. But yeah, that's a good one. All right, Eric. You get the last pick of the second round, and then after the break, we'll snake back to the third round. What say you in the second round?
So he took alcohol from me, because I think that includes kind of all alcohol and drinking. Yep. And I love to have me a little cocktail while I'm watching the game. But I got to go NFL draft. I feel like, the Super Bowl is very meaningful to a couple teams. Playoffs are meaningful to a couple teams and those fan bases and whatnot. But the NFL draft, that's the beginning of hope for everyone. So I think the NFL season starts there. And I think that's the most intrigued that everyone is, and no matter the fan base that you are a part of. So I'm going with the NFL draft. And not just for the fans. I mean, think about the players whose lives are changing.
Yep.
The money that they make. Maybe the start of generational wealth for some of these guys. So the NFL draft.
That's one I got to take off my board. Very well done. I had that one. I was going to try and sneak it in the third or fourth round, but Eric Crocker takes it. All right, we're 2 rounds into the Football Gluttony Friday Night Draft, and it's absolutely fun so far. Eric Crocker will kick off the third round when we get back. But I got to talk to you about being safe, and that means Simply Safe. Now, I want you to think about Simply Safe and keeping your home safe as if you're playing defense. You got Eric Crocker on one corner. Ryan Tracy is playing defensive end. I'm playing linebacker. And we're keeping you out of the end zone the same way Simply Safe is keeping burglars out of your house. That's the way to think about this. That's what Simply Safe does. So your safety is the only thing that matters. It's cutting-edge technology powered by 24/7 professional monitoring agents who always have your back. So you know your home is always safe. Simply Safe's agents call you the moment a threat is detected and dispatch police or first responders in an emergency, even if you're not home or can't be reached. HD security cameras for inside and outside your home. Smarter ways to detect motion that only alert you when a threat is real. No fake threats, real threats. Simply Safe has you covered. Customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes at simplysafe.com/LockedOnNFL. Save 20% on your Simply Safe security system when you sign up for an interactive monitoring plan and get your first month free. Visit Simply Safe, simply with an I, simplysafe.com/LockedOnNFL to learn more. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Thanks for making your Locked On NFL draft your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On Sports today. The games that matter the most, the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get podcasts. All right, let's get to the third round. Don't want to mess around any longer. Eric Crocker, you have the first pick in the third round. Where are you going?
Let's talk about something that brings everyone joy. The one thing at some point in the year, whether you're a wife, a girlfriend, a husband, a kid, but everyone gathers around the TV to see and kind of grade how it went this year. And that's the Super Bowl commercials. All right. Everybody's looking to see, are they good? Are they funny? This year, I don't remember who had the bright idea to put a barcode, or what do they call those codes? A QR code on the TV, and it's just bouncing around. And I mean, it was genius. All right. So I'm going to have to go with Super Bowl commercials. And no matter what, whether they're good or bad, everyone's going to have an opinion on them.
I love it. Absolutely. That's brilliant. I thought you were going to go Super Bowl, but Super Bowl commercial is right. I mean, everyone in our family watches the commercials. They don't give a you-know-what about the game. It was the commercials. Ryan Tracy, it's up to you, your third round. You have lobster tempura paired with a 2-day smoked brisket at your favorite tailgate in KC. And you basically took beer is what you did. But you specifically wanted it the 2nd October kickoff. And that, I think, that's a great spot because – I mean, who's been in a stadium in August and it's like 100 degrees and who wants a beer at that point? You just want to get the game over at that point. So well done. Your third round pick.
My third round pick is an experience that I actually had that kind of set the pace for the rest of this list. It's a playoff game from 1986. Bears versus Rams. And maybe the biggest play in that whole 80s genre. Richard Dent comes off the edge, takes out the quarterback. The ball's loose. Wilbur Marshall picks it up, rumbles. Outside linebacker who was not known necessarily for speed, that rumbles down the entire length of the field in the snow with Fridge Perry blocking for him to get into the end zone to just take that 85 defense that much farther and make it that much more cleanly dominant. That's one of my favorite experiences. A great ball game in the snow. Like, it's the epitome of playoff football.
Oh, I love it. 86 playoff game, Bears-Rams at Wilbur Marshall return when set to NFL Films music. Oh, crap. I shouldn't have said that because that's on my board. I'm not going to say it. I better stop right there. Now, Ryan and I talked a little bit before the show. We found out we're pretty close in age, whereas young buck Eric Crocker is going to be chasing us for a while. So when I go back to watching my early days of the NFL, if you just turned a game on, like you didn't start it at the beginning and you just turned it on at some point during a game, you had no idea how much time was left in the game. You had no idea what quarter it was. You didn't know what the score was. You'd have to sit around and wait and wait and wait and wait. You didn't even know what down it was in a lot of cases. And then in 1994, Fox put this little thing up in the top right of their TV broadcast. And it told you the time, it told you the score, and it told you the down and distance. I am drafting in the third round the score bug because it tells you everything you need to know in a game. And now we watch games and we take it for granted. But if you watch games back in the 70s, 80s, and even early 90s, and you had no idea what was going on in a game, the score bug absolutely saved you. I'm going with the Fox score bug so I can keep track of what's going on with every single game. We take it, like I said, we take it for granted now, but we probably shouldn't have. All right. Go to the fourth round. It snakes back to me. So I went with my Houston Texan, J.J. Watt, in his 2014 season, my first-round pick. I had to get Watt in there. Congratulations to he and Kalia. They had their son, KJ, earlier this week. KJ Watt to go with TJ and JJ. It's an amazing family. So I already did that. But I want to stay with Houston with this one because one of my all-time favorite athletes, and I got to meet him just briefly. He's one of the nicest gentlemen I've ever met in my life. And it was a real, true joy to meet him. But Earl Campbell was an absolute superstar in the city of Houston. Loved him. I am drafting Earl Campbell's Oiler Blue number 34 jersey that was ripped off his body on the great run against Isaiah Robertson. Whoa. I don't care that it's on tatters. That's what I want. I want the tearaway jersey and put it up in a frame. I want Earl Campbell's tearaway jersey from that run. It's 34 Oiler Blue jersey because that was just a ridiculous run. And that jersey, it was outlawed a year or two later because it just ripped off his body. So I want the tearaway jersey in the fourth round. Ryan, Tracy, you're up.
I got to go with an icon. I had to move this up. It was a little farther down my list, but you started with Madden, so you got me on this roll. Because without this particular person, everything that we do, everything that Eric Crocker knows about football would not be the same. He changed the game, and we all watch it week after week after week in different variations and different flavors. It started with Bill Walsh, and at the end of the day, that's where you have to go back to look at modern football. Without him, we wouldn't have this, and I appreciate that. And that brings me joy, so it fits my model.
Very nice. Bill Walsh. Man, you just took 49ers legend Bill Walsh right in front of 49ers own Eric Crocker. I mean, he's looking at the camera. I don't know if you had Bill Walsh on his board. I got a feeling maybe he did.
I did.
Okay. All right. Don't feel too bad. All right, Eric, you're
up.
But
no, don't feel bad because when it comes to 49er legends, I mean, the list is long.
Yeah, it's
vast. Right. I mean, does any organization have more legends than the 49ers? Cowboys might be close.
Yep.
Steelers got a few. But the 49ers, I mean, come on. You're talking about Bill Walsh. You're talking about Jerry Rice, Joe Montana, Steve Young. Come on, man. The list goes on and on. Ronnie Lott. Deion Sanders that 1 year. The only year he won defensive MVP. Come on now. All right, so plenty of legends. So, I'm not going to go there. Okay. But where I will go is one of my favorite places to actually watch football. And I'm drafting Buffalo Wild Wings. The food's not the greatest. The food is not the greatest. But when you want to sit, and we've talked about a few different things, food, drinks. Man, you get there, you have food, you have drinks, and on every TV, they got all the games. So you get to see everything that's going around. Enjoy the company of your significant other or whoever you have with you, some of the boys. Check your gambling apps. You get to do all that from the comfort of your seat at Buffalo Wild Wings. It's probably one of my favorite places to go for games.
Yeah, very, very well done. All right, Eric. So that finished up the fourth round. So it goes to the fifth round. So what you got?
Fifth round. This is a little tough because I shouldn't think about this day the way that I do, but Sundays, it's supposed to be the Lord's Day, but it's football day during football season. All right, so I'm here in the Bible Belt. Things shut down on Sundays. Not a whole lot of stores. They're not really open as much. But one thing, people are tuned into their TV, including Eric Crocker, who's consistently watching football on Sunday. And when I think of Sunday, outside of it being the Lord's Day, I correlate it with football. Football is for Sundays and God.
All right. Very well done. Drafted a day. I didn't see that coming. I mean, I don't have any days on my board. Very nice. Ryan Tracy, you're now in the 5th round.
So sticking with my theme of things that make me feel good, bring me pleasure, and sticking with the Sunday thing because of the guy who ran this and is out front of it, things that bring me pleasure from the middle era. We're getting a little bit closer in time now. We're working up to present day, right?
Right.
When you take a look at how dominant they are for a kid who grew up watching Chicago play defense, the 2000 Ravens team defense is something that makes me very happy. You go back, watch those games today, the dominance there, the athleticism, how they went about their business, changing the game in what has become an offensive sport. There's a debate to be had. Yes, there is. And I don't know that I'd choose them to be the best overall ever, but 165 points is still the record of fewest points allowed by a defense in the season. I'll take that particular team, the Ravens 2000 squad.
I love it. 2000 Ravens team defense. All right. You guys, we were all over the place with so many different things. That was kind of the point of this. I'm going to go to television for mine for this one. And back in the 80s, we didn't have the internet. The only way you could really get highlights of a game was if you watched Monday Night Football and Howard Cosell. But then in the mid-80s, the ESPN came around, and they started a show called ESPN Primetime. It had Chris Berman, it had Tom Jackson, and you could watch every game. It was Sunday Ticket, kind of before Sunday Ticket. It was Red Zone before Red Zone. It was the originator. And Tom Jackson and Chris Berman were so good together. And you got to see every game that happened throughout the league. Because back in the 80s and 90s, you got your regional game and that was it. Until Sunday Ticket came around, it allowed you to look at other games. When Red Zone came around, gave you the opportunity to watch other games. You didn't have that opportunity. So if Cleveland was playing Cincinnati, we couldn't watch that game down in Houston. We had to wait for ESPN Primetime, and that was the show that showed us everything. I am going with ESPN Primetime, not the new one, but the original with Brown University grad Chris Berman and Tom Jackson. All right, it's going to snake back to me in the 6th round when we get back. Now a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. I love the fact that BetterHelp has teamed with us at Locked On and Locked On NFL Draft. I think therapy is one of those aspects that people tried to deny. No, I don't need it. I'm okay. I can figure this out. But in reality, you're stuck on things. You're stuck somewhere, and you can't get out of that rut. You're spinning your wheels every day trying to figure life out. Therapy can help, and that's where BetterHelp comes in. A therapist can help you become a better problem solver, making it easy to accomplish your goals, no matter how big or small. I know in my family, we have been going to therapists for many, many years. And I remember the first time I went to a therapist who has been our therapist now for my son for about 15 years. And my son was out of the room, and I talked for 45 minutes. I walked out there going, man, why have I not done that with my life before? So if you're thinking of giving therapy a try, BetterHelp is a great option. It's convenient, accessible, affordable, and entirely online. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to see anybody face-to-face. If you have that anxiety, BetterHelp.com/lockedon. Get matched with a therapist after filling out a brief survey, and you can switch therapists anytime. When you want to be a better problem solver, therapy can get you there. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/lockedon. All right, we're back into the 6th round. It snakes back to me in the 6th round of our football gluttony draft. Thus far, I have J.J. Watt's 2014 season. I have John Madden. I have the Fox scorebug. I have Earl Campbell's Oiler Blue 34 tearaway jersey in the game against the Rams and Isaiah Robertson. And I just took in the 5th round ESPN Primetime, the original, the OG ESPN Primetime, Chris Berman and Tom Jackson. Now, I am going in the coaching realm too, and I am following Ryan Tracy, but because I'm a year older, I'm going further back in history because Bill Walsh was the originator of the West Coast offense, etc. But there was a mastermind before him, and that was Sid Gilman. Sid Gilman with the Chargers. One of my favorite players of all time is Lance Allworth. Played University of Arkansas, played with the Chargers, played in the AFL. Loved Lance Allworth. Sid Gilman was a guy that touched a lot of different football lives, and his passing game was really what kind of kickstarted the AFL, got them notoriety, got a merger with the NFL, and Sid Gilman is remembered forever. So I'm going to take legendary Hall of Fame coach Sid Gilman, formerly of the Chargers. I mean, he'd been a lot of different places, but his view on the modern passing game really kicked it off. Walsh took it to a different level, and now Sean McVay is the greatest coach that there ever lived. Well, at least that's what we're told, I think. But I'm going with Sid Gilman in the 6th round. Ryan, it's now to you.
Well, you took one of mine. I was going Berman. Not the show, but the man.
Yeah.
Because so many people that generation grew up with him. So
yes.
let me shift gears a little bit because I want to stick with this theme of what brought me pleasure, and nothing makes me smile more than this argument that I don't know if we're about to have, but folks will have it at some point. Growing up where I did, there was one team that you watched. They happened to be very good when I was growing up, but it all comes back to an older era of football where they ran the ball on purpose, and it wasn't an afterthought. It wasn't a change of pace to set up the pass. It was a legitimate weapon. And for me, growing up watching 34, Walter Payton brought more, not just pleasure to watch, but pleasure to learn how to play the game, pleasure how to actually understand to be a stand-up guy, protect your teammates, be the whole thing. That's why they named the Walter Payton Award after him, folks. That's why it's there. And in the end, Walter Payton, the greatest running back of all time, that's my guy in the 6th round.
I think Walter Payton in the 6th round, that's a steal. That is nice. Sweetness goes to Ryan. Eric Crocker, you now snake the 6th and the 7th. What say you, my man?
I think I got to go with a guy who, you know how the NBA has, the silhouette of Jerry West?
Jerry West, yeah.
Well, I think the NFL should take a page out of the NBA's book and put a silhouette of Tom Brady. Tom Brady, the greatest football player I've ever seen, at least from an accomplishment standpoint. And everybody just thought maybe it's Bill Belichick. Oh, no, it's just New England. No, you're all wrong. I'm going to go to Tampa Bay and I'm going to win another Super Bowl championship over there. He's been amazing. And I feel like because, when somebody's so great, everybody wants to hate on that person. But, man, what he's done, we'll never see it again, ever. You will never, ever, ever see someone go to 10 Super Bowls and win 7 of them, including one with different teams, and he's 45 years old, and I can't tell. I mean, outside of, whatever's going on at home, that's like an old people type thing. But aside from that, you can't tell this guy's 45 years old. And what he's doing is it's amazing. I've never seen anything like it. We'll never see anything else like this ever again. A quarterback that quarterbacked in 10 Super Bowls and won 7 of them. That's greatness. He needs to be the silhouette of the NFL logo.
Very nice. I like the way you put that. Okay, 7th round, snakes back to you, Eric. Your last pick in the Football Gluttony Friday Night Draft.
All right, so now I'm going to take it to the person that I always wanted to emulate, and I never could. I never had this type of God-given ability. But there's a lot of other guys that end up playing cornerback and had that flash and that flair and were high-stepping in playgrounds. And it's Deion, Neon, Primetime Sanders. I just always have visions of, just growing up, wanting to be like him. I got pictures of me in high school on picture day on the football field wearing a wristband, a headband around my neck. It was Deion. He made me want to play football. I feel like he brought out this certain level of just being a character kind of on the field. And he actually tweeted me one time. He tweeted me where I had got an interception in Arena League, and I held the ball up like Deion Sanders, and he responded to my video. So shout out to Deion Sanders. I think he fathered a lot of football players that wanted to play the cornerback position. And I think that's why the number 21 is so popular. around the NFL. Everybody wanted to be Deion Sanders, man. So I saved the best for last.
Very well done. I like it. Ryan Tracy, what are you saving for last?
You changed mine, actually, John, when you mentioned the TV bug.
Yeah, score bug, yeah.
It really shouldn't be something that's so different. But again, sticking with the thing, what brings me happiness and pleasure when it comes to this sport, it's really recent. It's only been here 7 weeks, to tell you the truth. But I think as we look back in a few years, this will be a game changer. And kudos to the people. I know it's not the greatest broadcast. People have problems with Amazon. But when you can stream live the All 22 and see the game from home as though you're in the top row of the stadium, as though you're in the coach's box upstairs, I think that changes the way the next generation is going to see it and how this sport is going to evolve. So kudos to Amazon streaming the All 22.
Very well done. All right, Mr. Irrelevant in our football gluttony Friday night draft is far from irrelevant. And it's interesting because we all kind of tapped into our childhood for certain things. And I'm going even further back to my childhood. Now, I am a Houstonian. I've been here since 1983, but I was born in Wisconsin. And my dad lived his entire life in Wisconsin until he decided that he wanted to coach high school football in a place where high school football is more important. So he picked our family up. We moved to Texas. But for the first 11 years of my life, I lived in Wisconsin. And I was a diehard Packers fan. Everything the Packers did, I was all about. And I'll never forget, one of my biggest moments was I got a chance to meet Bart Starr doing a radio broadcast at the Lombardi Awards a number of years ago. And I mean, it was tremendous. But it's not Bart, and it's not the Packers. It's where the Packers play. It's Lambeau Stadium. Lambeau is, if you haven't been there, when you go there, you just realize all the history that has taken place in the NFL has gone through that building. And yeah, it's been expanded upon, but you see the original bowl and you just realize, man, this place is unbelievable. And then you go to Green Bay and it's 65,000 people. And there's a few stoplights here and there. And it's this little hamlet of just football love. And I remember growing up as a kid going to my first NFL game in that stadium at Lambeau. And it was a joy. And it's what gives me joy thinking of that. I went to games in the Astrodome. I've been to every stadium now except for Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta. And there really is just nothing that compares to Lambeau. So in the 7th round, Mr. Irrelevant, I'm going with Lambeau. I have to, so I'm going with Lambeau. Gentlemen, that was absolutely wonderful. I didn't know where we were going to go with this. I was really curious how you guys would go about that with me, but the football gluttony Friday night draft might be one of my absolute faves that we've ever done. Really appreciate the effort you guys put into it, and hopefully you as a listener enjoyed that. And we appreciate you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen every day. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast, the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get podcasts. These two gentlemen, awesome. Eric Crocker, Ryan Tracy. I'm John. We're going to continue to do this show. Looking forward to a great week of football, both college and pro. And we got it all ready for you next week right here on Locked On NFL Draft. Appreciate you guys for listening. We'll see you next time. Let's go.